What if you were a monster? For this question, we all picked a different type of monster to be. Doing the classic ones, zombie, vampire, werewolf. And just kind of figuring out what we do from there. Chris, I'll let you start.
Yes, so I did zombie. And there are a lot of different types of zombies, so I had to choose which one. The classic one was like voodoo is like related to voodoo. I didn't want to do that.
Voodoo, like...
I don't know exactly. I didn't really look too much into it because I knew I wasn't going to do it, but something voodoo related is the classic zombie. But the more modern zombie is like the infected, where they like run super fast. It's like they're not actually dead. They just have like a virus. I didn't do that either. What I did was the classic George Romero zombie. So like zombies from like Night of the Living Dead, stuff like that. The reason I chose these is because they kind of like defined the zombie archetype when they came out, so I figured it was fitting.
So you're gonna be like, I would walk around slowly and try to eat brains. All right, Ben, you're up.
There is one caveat. I did assume that I was intelligent enough to actually think for myself, because I think zombies are generally pretty dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It kind of comes with the territory.
Yeah. So I can think for myself and I can like plan stuff. And there were two main problems that I saw as a zombie. The first one was that I crave living flesh. That's a problem. Oh, I don't think you mentioned, but so we're saying like you're a monster, but you're trying to like live a normal life as a monster, right?
Yeah, you're a monster. You're not like a bad guy. Yeah.
That's at least what I did.
That's what I did too.
So that's why craving living flesh is a problem, because I can't live a normal life if I'm killing people.
Right.
So that's problem number one. Problem number two is that my body is decomposing. So that's, so it's going to smell very bad, and I'm going to look like I'm just like falling apart, which is not good. So to deal with the first problem, craving human flesh, I actually looked it up, and actually zombies don't need to eat to survive. It's like part of their brain instincts, because like all other higher functions of the brain shut down, and then it's just like primitive brain function.
Science has shown that zombies don't actually need to eat brains to survive.
They just do it because they're assholes.
Yeah, there's like a whole scientific wiki article on zombies.
That's incredible.
Yeah, so they don't actually need to eat. It's just the craving. So I'm going to crave this stuff, but I have to deal with the craving somehow. But it's not a big deal if I deal with it and I don't actually eat anything. So the solution I came up with was something they used in The Walking Dead. There's one character that cut off one of the zombies' jaws, and they cut off both of their arms, so that he just like couldn't do anything if there's a person around. Like he can't bite them, he can't grab them, so he just got complacent. So that's the way I solved that problem.
Chris, that's not living a normal life.
I do that to myself. I mean, I would replace my jaw with like a fake jaw, I guess, and like have fake arms.
Well, then your problem's not fixed. You haven't fixed your problem at all, because then you can still bite people and grab them.
No, I don't have control of the arms. It's just for like cosmetic reasons.
Okay.
So problem number one solved.
For some definition of solved.
Problem number two, body's decomposing. Just chop off the bits I don't need.
Yeah, problem number two, body's decomposing. And I found a fact that specifically Romero zombies, they actually last 10 to 12 years before decomposing, like to a point where they can't really move anymore. But they didn't really give like an explanation of how that happens, because like bodies decompose way faster than that in real life.
Yeah, especially if you amputate off parts.
I don't think that really matters anymore if it's amputated or not, but whatever.
Well, I'm saying, like, you know, if you're gonna tracking how long it takes you to lose function of your arm, chopping it off is a pretty quick way to do it.
Yeah, pretty quick A to B there.
Yeah. So I wanted to see how I could slow down decomposition, and the main factors of decomposition are moisture, temperature, and oxygen. So I actually looked into how funeral homes do it, because they have to like preserve the body for funerals and stuff. And what they do is they embalm a body. So my research got really gross in doing this. So I'm
You don't say.
I'm gonna spare the details. I'm gonna generalize. But essentially what they do is they drain all the fluids from the body. So they like inject you with stuff that like drains the fluids, and it like they use chemicals to clean you and stuff like that. And then they use makeup to actually like make you look better. So I could do this. I could embalm myself. That would essentially deal with the moisture problem. But the problem is usually when funeral homes are embalming a body, it's really just to last until the funeral, and then after the funeral, they don't really care. So it's not a long-lasting solution.
Mm-hmm.
So the next thing I looked at was temperature, and I looked specifically at morgues, because morgues deal with dead bodies and like low temperatures. So there are 2 types of morgues that they have. There's like a positive temperature morgue and a negative temperature morgue. And the positive one usually stores the bodies around like 36 to 39 degrees Fahrenheit. And this can extend the life of the body, or not the life of the body, but the shelf life of the body, I guess, for like several weeks. And then negative morgues go anywhere from like 14 to negative 58 degrees Fahrenheit, which completely freezes the body. So I could do this I could like have a house that is lower temperature. The problem is this would be very high energy costs, and the positive temperature really only extends my life for like a few weeks, and then the negative temperature completely freezes my body. I don't want to freeze my body. So still not really a viable long-term option.
Plus, you can't adjust the thermostat because you have no fucking arms.
Also, so it has high energy costs, but I'm basically not going to be able to do any sort of job at all.
Yeah.
So I was going to say one of the positive things about being a zombie is that I have low living costs because I don't need food or anything, but this temperature strategy kind of ruins that. So
Right.
Well, as a zombie, you could say you have no living costs, right?
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, so temperature, not a good option. So next is like, maybe I'm looking at this from the wrong angle. I'm looking at like dead bodies and how we preserve dead bodies, but we don't really care about dead bodies once they're like buried and stuff. So instead of dead bodies, I started looking at how we preserve food. And ways that we preserve food, we cure them, which solves the moisture problem. We freeze them, which is the temperature problem. And one of the techniques that I came across that I actually want to try to implement on myself is canning. So canned food lasts a very, very long time. In 1974, they found a bunch of canned food in a sunken steamboat in the Missouri River, and they were 109 years old, but they tested the food and it was still safe to eat. So that's pretty good. So I looked into the process of canning food. What they usually do is they get a can, they fill it with either brine or syrup to displace as much oxygen as possible in the can. And then they fill the can with whatever food they want to preserve. And then they run the can through like either hot water or steam or something to heat it up. And what they want to do is make the food expand, and that drives out all the rest of the oxygen. And then they seal the can. So when they seal the can, it creates a partial vacuum, which is ideal for preserving stuff because you don't want oxygen. And then they mechanically exhaust the rest of the can to get rid of any excess oxygen. And then afterwards, they heat it up to around 240 degrees Fahrenheit to kill any other microorganisms that are in there. And then the can is cooled and it's packaged and ready to sell. So I was like, okay, how can I do this to myself?
Gonna need a big can.
My big can is a spacesuit. I can get a spacesuit.
Fill it with jam.
Yes, fill it with brine. I was going to say brine. You got to get rid of the insulation because you need to heat yourself up. And spacesuits are like super insulated to protect the astronauts from temperatures. So you get rid of that. Fill with brine. You get in. You go to a spa and find their steam room. You sit in their steam room for a while, and then you close the suit. And then that'll create the partial vacuum. And then instead of your oxygen tanks, you'll connect it to like an industrial vacuum or something and suck out the rest of the oxygen to create a complete vacuum. And then to heat yourself up, because afterwards you need to heat yourself up to 240 degrees Fahrenheit, you need to find a barbecue smoker and walk into the barbecue smoker for, I don't know how long, but for a while to kill the rest of the microorganisms in your suit. And then take a cold bath after that, and you're good. You're a canned zombie, and you could walk around.
I would love it a lot more if you had arms, you know?
Well, your suit has arms, so it'll look like you have arms. Actually, well, you can still have your jaw now, I guess, because you're wearing a helmet. You can't bite anyone. You might still need to cut off your arms. I don't know.
It depends.
Yeah, I don't know how easy it is to kill someone in a spacesuit with your arms.
Questions that never been asked.
Hey Google, how hard is it to kill someone in a spacesuit? No, they're not in a spacesuit. You're in a spacesuit. No, they're not in space.